Welcome back to Chicago's Morning Answer. Amy Jacobson here. John Anthony in for Dan Proth today. Thank you for coming in.
Hey, thanks for having me.
And you're the host of Black and Right Radio.
That's right.
Which is Saturdays from 1 to 3 p.m. right here on AM 560.
Inside
so
joke.
the other day I went to, after Vice President Kamala Harris toured one of the vaccination sites here in Chicago, her first visit as vice president. And then we had a press conference. The senators, Congressman Danny Davis, Mayor Lightfoot, and Governor Pritzker were supposed to be there. For some reason, they didn't show up. But Congressman Davis said this about the 1-year-old who was shot because it happened in his district.
To purchase a gun.
So we have to background checks and laws in place. What about a mandatory gun confiscation?
I'm in favor of that. As a matter of fact, if we stopped making them, then I would be in favor of not making handguns that individuals use to hunt other people with. And so it's a big issue. It's a big problem. It requires serious attention, and that's what's being done right now in every instance that the people that I'm talking about have an opportunity to decide.
And today, President Biden is going to be announcing an executive order, a crackdown on guns. With more on this, let's welcome to the program Congressman Danny Davis. He's in charge of the 7th Congressional District. Good morning, Mr. Davis, and thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you very much, and it's a pleasure.
Yeah, so you wanted, besides gun confiscation, you had another idea to try and stop the manufacturing of guns. Can you explain?
Well, my point actually is that guns are too readily available in our society right now. And not only are guns too easily to acquire, but we don't have the kind of regulation that we need to have. Now, I believe in the Constitution. I believe in the Second Amendment. I believe all of those things were relative as they were being developed. But, you know, if you don't have a gun available in certain situations, people would still be alive. And I think we're talking about reducing violence. How do we make it happen? One way is to reduce the number of guns available to people in our country.
But we had a gun ban here in Chicago for 25 years, and nothing changed. And since this week started, Congressman, we've had 53 people shot, 14 killed. So the laws that we have in place, the bad guys aren't following those laws anyway.
And that's right. The bad guys aren't following them, but then the good guys, in many instances, get caught up with them. And if they didn't have them, they'd find an alternative to what they did. We know that there is poverty, there's disadvantagement. There are people who are unhappy and people who are perturbed. All of those things happen, and all of those are contributing factors. We may not be able to get rid of all of it. There's some things you can't get rid of. But if you remember the old Western town, once things got out of hand, then they put some laws in effect. When you come to town, you had to check your gun. Well, if you weren't going to do anything with it, they wouldn't have worried about whether you checked it or not.
Yeah.
So they understood even then that the presence of guns oftentimes created violent situations that would not happen if the gun was not there.
Hey, Congressman, this is John Anthony. I've been knowing you since I was a kid. I'm a product of the 21st Ward, 53rd Precinct. Knew you, hung out with you many a times as a kid. But here's my question. What do you think would be the unintended consequences of just taking away legal gun owners' weapons away from them? I mean, because when I think about it, you said you support the Constitution. You swore to uphold the Constitution. The Constitution says shall not infringe. Listening to what you're saying, it's telling me that those are infringements upon a constitutional right, not a permission, but a right. So what are the unintended consequences that may happen if we start taking guns away from law-abiding citizens?
Well, I think you're not going to take them away from law-abiding citizens, because what you would do is create the kind of laws all that you're really saying is that let's have universal background checks. So let's see who is purchasing and decide who can and who cannot. There are some restrictions that can be put upon society. Doesn't mean that you're really taking away their right. It means that you're protecting their right because you want law-abiding citizens, those people who might not be law-abiding, you're going to restrict them because you may find out who they are.
But doesn't that develop what people like myself? I don't know if you know, but I'm a former state rep here in Illinois, a Republican, black guy as well. But doesn't that create the list and of where government can basically understand and know what guns you have? I don't want the government to know what I have. I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you. Personally, I don't think it's the government's right to know what type of weapons I have because, I mean, we're talking about the government. Stuff gets leaked. And, people will know what guns are in your house. This whole registry. What are your thoughts about it? Because it sounds like this is developing and building that gun registry that a lot of two-way people have been fearing for decades.
Even when we get philosophical, we have to realize that my rights end where the next person's rights begin. And that's the real basis of an enlightened democracy,
right?
Is realizing that my rights cannot infringe upon your rights. So I have a right to protect my home. I have a right to protect myself, but I don't have the right to walk around with Uzis and with weaponry that you would have if you was at war.
Yeah.
And I don't have a right to allow others to acquire those. So I don't think we're trying to limit anybody's right to protection.
Right.
I think we're trying to increase society's ability to determine what it is that people live with and what they don't have to die with.
Right. And I think when you're looking at the universal background where you want basically all 50 states and also the outlying areas to understand and know who's getting what compared to where Illinois may do it different from Texas.
Or from Wisconsin
or from Wisconsin.
So that's what everyone means when they say universal background check, because Mayor Lightfoot's pushing for that too. But is that enough, Congressman Davis, universal background checks?
Oh, no, that's not enough. I'm saying there are certain things. For example, we used to ban automatic and semi-automatic weaponry. And you're right. Chicago, for 25 years, we had some pretty tough laws. But then, of course, surrounding places did not have the same ones. And individuals still could acquire those and just walk across the street and be in Chicago or bring them into Chicago.
Yeah.
We have problems. We are a big urban environment in this country for the most part. And that's an issue, and that's a problem. Although rural America have the same problem, so it's more than just the urban street action that we are experiencing. All of the mass shootings that have taken place in other places, something is producing those.
Yeah. Hey, Congressman, do you own a gun?
I do not.
Oh.
Have you ever been to a shooting range?
I have owned gun. I grew up in rural America. Everybody had a gun.
Yeah. But see, I think that there right there lies the problem. A lot of people that are creating laws don't really understand the functionality of guns, the nomenclature of guns.
Well, they're scared of them.
Right, they're very afraid of them.
Shooting.
And I think going to a gun range, going to a police gun range as well. I think understanding and getting comfortable with guns. I have a lot of family members who I told you, I come from Chicago, Cabrini Green housing projects, that don't like guns. They're very afraid of them because of what they think they can do. But I believe what the government, the federal government, with the state of Illinois, because I fought real hard in the state of Illinois against a lot of these measures that are now being talked about federally. I think people really need to understand if you've never held a gun, you've never shot a gun, you've never been around a gun, I think it's kind of hard to make a law about a gun. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Oh, I agree with all of that. As a matter of fact, we had guns, but we didn't touch those guns unless we were given the authority to do so. They just sat in the corner of the house, wherever my father had it, and it was there, and we knew why it was there, and we knew what it was for. So, yes, there are ways to teach people and help them to understand certain values and certain principles. But again, if too many guns are just floating around, everybody who wants one, there was a reason why we stopped.
Right.
I'm saying, you know, I love a Western movie. I've always loved them. but there's a reason they changed their way and decided, don't bring your gun to town.
So if you
Don't bring your gun to the bar.
Yeah.
Don't bring your gun to the saloon. So keep your gun at home, protect yourself, but don't walk around with it. And I think that's part of what the Second Amendment intended. And I think things change.
Right, and I understand that. And you said that you grew up with, a weapon in the house, and you respected your, parents. You don't touch it unless you need to. But do you really believe that we should have a mandatory gun confiscation for even, law-abiding citizens that, are properly storing their weapons and things like that?
Well, I think we've had many of these volunteer gun give backs, and people have done so. I think that you create environments and atmospheres that people will buy into as long as they feel like they have what people in this country really like is the ability to decide. Yeah. And so you give them options and opportunities to decide. And many people will automatically bring their guns in. But I don't think we've got to go around and try and collect every gun that exists. But I think we can do a much better job of regulating who has access to guns.
But Congressman, I'm sorry to interrupt you. We're pressed for time, but I don't mean to interrupt you. But when I look at what's happening in places like Chicago, Philadelphia, Compton, Watts, all those places, I'm not seeing the problem being guns. I'm also a former police officer. I'm not seeing the problem being guns. I'm seeing the problem being drug and gang violence, which guns are then used to perpetuate crime and to shoot and kill people in these communities, especially communities where black and brown people are. When are we ever going to, if we really want to have that discussion, can we have that discussion about how these are the driving forces that's causing a lot of the crime in cities like Chicago?
But it's a combination of both. It's a combination of all. So you put gangs and drugs and a gun all together, and then you get death.
Right.
All right. And Congressman, before we let you go, do you have any idea why Mayor Lightfoot and Governor Pritzker didn't show up at that press conference the other day?
I really don't know, although I know that there were some protesters there, and I just don't know why they didn't come.
Okay.
But of course, protesters don't bother me. I think people have a right to protest and express themselves in whatever way they decide, as long as it is legal and orderly.
Yeah. All right. This guy doesn't age. I love this guy.
Oh, yeah, Congressman Davis, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
It's a pleasure. Thank you
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Listen to podcasts of Dan and Amy from the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
The Lou Dobbs Financial Report is brought to you by Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Visit signaturebank.bank for your commercial banking needs.
I'm Lou Dobbs. President Biden is now A-OK with Communist China's Olympics, and Carnival Cruises lost $2 billion. Those stories next.
Have you heard? Rodents are taking over. According to various news articles, recent COVID-19 related disruptions have caused abnormal behavior in rodents, making them become more aggressive. Don't let your home or business be invaded with a disease-carrying rodent infestation. Keep them away with Plug-in Pest Free. G'day, I'm Scott from Plug-in Pest Free. Using the active wiring in your home or business, Plug-in Pest Free goes to work, keeping rodents and pests away the more humane way without using toxic poisons or other harsh pesticides. Just plug it in. It's that simple. Now that's fair dinkum. Stop the infestation and order yours today at gopestfree.com and receive a free hand sanitizer pen with every order using promo code INK. That's gopestfree.com, promo code INK. Gopestfree.com, promo code INK. Don't spray and regret. Plug in and forget.
President Biden, who led the charge to yank Major League Baseball's All-Star game from Atlanta due to his objections over new voter integrity laws in Georgia, has absolutely no plans to boycott the 2022 Winter Olympic Games in Red China. Documented human rights violations in China seem not to upset the White House nearly as much as Georgia asking voters to produce ID before casting their ballots. Vote counting is still continuing in Alabama following an election by Amazon workers on whether they'll join a union. If they do unionize, they'll be the first of Amazon's 950,000 workers to do so. Carnival Cruises says the China virus cost it $2 billion in the first quarter, but bookings are picking up and 2021 is looking like a good year for sailing. Please join me 3 times each weekday for my updates from the Salem Radio Network, here on this station. This is the Lou Dobbs Financial Report.
Balance of Nature's fruits and vegetables in a capsule, changing the world one life at a time.
I am 78 years old and have a bad back, bad knees, bad everything. If I didn't take Balance of Nature, I would be in bed all the time. It's allowed me to have better health, better mobility. I feel better. I just love it. I take it every day religiously. My brother takes it. His daughter takes it. Yeah. It's really a blessing. It really is. So God bless you people. God bless the doctor. I am so appreciative.
Get a wide variety of all your daily recommended servings of whole fruits and vegetables without having to leave your home. Right now, Balance of Nature is offering free shipping and 35% off on any new preferred order. Call 1-800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Or go to balanceofnature.com and use discount code CHICAGO.
This can be your year for reclaiming your smile. Eat, speak, and smile with confidence. If you've been considering traditional dental implants to replace missing teeth or to stabilize loose, uncomfortable dentures, Proto Mini Dental Implants can help. In addition to traditional implant techniques, Proto Mini Dental Implants offers